had always believed that my life was nearly perfect. 8 years of marriage, a lovely home tucked in a quiet neighborhood, and a partner I thought I could trust completely. While our relationship might not have been full of intense passion, it offered a deep sense of stability that I come to appreciate. My partner worked long hours, often coming home late, worn out from meetings that seemed endless. Meanwhile, I had the freedom to arrange my day however I liked, spending my time on hobbies, running errands, or chatting with neighbors now and then. One neighbor in particular caught my attention. They were kind and always had a friendly smile whenever we crossed paths. Though we weren't close, there was a warmth to their demeanor that made every brief conversation feel pleasant. I didn't think much of it, though. My focus remained on my marriage, on maintaining the life we had built together. Lately, however, I had started to feel a subtle shift. My partner had become more distant, always glued to their phone, laughing at messages I couldn't see. They claimed work was overwhelming, but the late nights became a regular thing, and the excuses seemed less and less believable. At first, I told myself it was nothing, people get busy. Stress changes them, but the unease never quite left me. I began paying closer attention, how they would turn their phone away when I passed, how meetings on Fridays were lasting longer, and how the lively conversations we used to share had faded into silence. Still, I tried to convince myself that I was just overthinking it. But one evening, something happened that I couldn't ignore. As I went outside to take out the trash, I saw my neighbors standing on their porch. They gave me a small, curious nod, their smile warm, but with a hint of something else I couldn't place. Before I could say anything, they spoke up. "I'm not sure if you're aware, but I saw your spouse the other night at that new place on 5th, they said, their voice cautious. I furrowed my brow, confusion settling in. "It was probably just a work dinner," I offered, trying to brush it off with a laugh, though my heart rate quickened. The neighbor hesitated, then added, "They weren't alone." A cold weight sank into my chest. Their words weren't accusatory, just careful, almost as if they were trying not to make any assumptions, but the implication was clear. I tried to act like it didn't bother me, offering a weak smile as I dismissed it, but inside my thoughts were spinning. That evening, when my partner came home as usual, late and offering the same tired excuse, I watched them closely. Their eyes avoided mine, they rushed into the shower, and before I could even say good night, they were gone. It all hit me in that moment. I didn't want to believe it, but a small part of me had known all along. The doubt that had started as a whisper in the back of my mind slowly consumed me. I began to notice everything. The phone that was always in their hand, the new scent of cologne they had started wearing, the unexplained charges on our credit card. I couldn't stop myself from wondering, was there someone else? But I needed proof. I couldn't make accusations based on suspicion alone. One evening, as they showered, I saw their phone vibrating on the nightstand. My heart raced as I picked it up. The screen lit up with a name I didn't recognize, and the message that appeared shattered any lingering doubts. "Miss you already. Can't wait for Friday." My hands trembled as I scrolled through the messages. There was no mistaking it. The connection between them and this person was real. My partner, the one I had trusted, was leading a secret life. And yet, they came home to me each night, acting like nothing had changed. A wave of emotion surged within me, anger, hurt, confusion, but all I could do was sit in silence, staring at the phone in my hands. When my partner emerged from the shower, they froze as they saw me holding it. The air in the room thickened as I looked at them, and they looked at me, their expression shifting from shock to something more chilling detachment. "Why are you going through my phone?" they asked, their voice cold and distant. I couldn't help but laugh, though it felt hollow. "Is that really what you're concerned about? Isn't the real issue the fact that you're being unfaithful?" They didn't deny it. They sighed and ran a hand through their hair as if this were just a minor inconvenience. "It's not what you think," they said, their voice flat, without any real emotion. "Then explain it to me," I demanded, my voice shaking. They hesitated, then shrugged. I don't know. It just happened. Their words, spoken with such indifference, broke something inside me. Was it unintentional? I asked bitterly. For months, you've been lying right in front of me, and I've been the one questioning myself for even doubting you. They didn't answer right away. Instead, they let out another tired sigh. It's just an acquaintance from work, they said, dismissing it as if it meant nothing. Just someone. The words felt like a slap to the face. It was as if our entire life together held no meaning. I stared at them, unable to hold back the wave of emotion. I couldn't look at them anymore, not with their eyes so vacant and indifferent. I grabbed my keys and left, the weight of everything crashing down on me. My heart pounded and my mind raced as I walked aimlessly, not knowing where I was going, just needing to get away from the suffocating silence. Before I realized it, I found myself standing at my neighbor's door. They opened it as soon as they saw my face, their own questions falling silent. Without a word, they stepped aside, allowing me inside. As soon as I sat down, it all spilled out the hurt, the betrayal, the emptiness I felt. My neighbor listened, quietly, their face unreadable as I poured out everything. And for the first time in what felt like ages, I didn't feel alone. When I finally fell silently, refrained from offering hollow words of sympathy, simply inquired, "What is it that you wish to pursue at this momento?" Answer came to me part of me yearned to unleash a cry at my spousado, insist on an explanation that would unravel the tangled threads of confusion with her. Part of me yearned to feign that none of this was real to awaken, and discover it had all been a figment of my imagination yet. Beneath the surface, I understood that this was beyond repair trust, was not a puzzle that could be reassembled hence. It lay in fragments. Time slipped away in a haze. I distanced myself from my spouse, whenever feasible seeking refuge outside the home. As often as I could, my neighbor transformed into a steadfast presence that providing gentle support without any pressure in the early hours, would present me with caffeine when they noticed my descent into turmoil, would extend invitations for walks. I discovered a vulnerability within mere revealing thoughts and feelings I had never shared with another Saloni evening after another long day, kindly offering me to near a gesture that touched me more than they realized you need to eat they. Sate simply placing the plate before me it was merely a small gesture. Its impact resonated within me more profoundly than one might expect me partner once. Engaged in such actions they ceased to show any concern. I gazed up at my neighbor truly. Observing them for the first time, I became aware of how they always seemed to possess the perfect word show. Their mere presence eased the heaviness in my chest, just a beat of faint sense of hope stirred. Within me uncertainty still clouded my heart. Almost immediately guilt began to seep in. Wasn't it too soon to feel anything me marriage had just shattered? I was meant to be enveloped in sorrow yet. I couldn't help but observe the gentle warmth that filled my neighbor's gaze when it fell upon me, yet the reality wastes that I'd been enveloped in loneliness for an extended period far longer than I was willing to acknowledge. An evening, as we lingered in a tranquil hush beneath the stars, looked at me and remarked, "Do deserve better than this." Their voice, so soft, carried an undeniable conviction. Words eluded me. Never had I heard such words spoken to me before. After weeks of resistance, I finally allowed myself to entertain the notion that perhaps they were on to something understanding. Washed over me in rippling currents, there were days when I felt invincible, poised to cast aside the shadows of what once was, and other days uncertainty slinked in, murmuring that perhaps I was overreacting, that perhaps I could salvage what remained yet. Each time my gaze fell upon my partner, what greeted me was nothing but a sense of betrayal. This was beyond repair. I've initiated the process of separation. Exchange was succinct, thirsty, and purely transactional. My spouse's reaction was minimal, as if they had emotionally disengaged long before I uncovered the reality. Perhaps they had anticipated a clash, perhaps a heartfelt apology. All that came my way was a lackluster admission of I didn't think it would. Conclude in this manner, that was the moment. 8 years diminished to a mere shrug. Progressing ahead proved to be a challenge. House resonated with an emptiness I had not anticipated. I reassured myself that solitude was essential, that I must mend my wounds before inviting anyone else into my life. The reality was that someone had already taken that step. My neighbor stood by me through every moment, never seeking anything in exchange. We refrained from pushing, avoiding any attempts to impose. Their will they simply remained present, and at some point in the journey fed. Subtle presence transformed into something greater one evening as we lingered on their porch observing the sun sink. Beneath the rooftops, I turned to the man, finally voiced the thought that had been lingering in my mind for an extended period. I doubt I experienced true happiness. It marked the inaugural moment I confessed it even to my own consciousness. They refrained from uttering, "I told you," so they merely inclined their heads. I am aware the silence lingered in the area. It held no discomfort. It was as if clarity had dawned in. Unvoiced truth finding its rightful place. At last, in a moment of instinct, I found myself grasping their hand. They remained close, unyielding. In their proximity, I was still unaware of what this was. Perhaps it was merely a sense of solace. Perhaps it marked the beginning of an uncharted journey. Yet, for the first time in ages, I felt no fear in uncovering the truth.